All right, well, happy Friday to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. It is time to track the tropics, and a little later, we'll focus on what's happening locally across Houston. If you've been outside, you already know what the answer is going to be: a lot of heat. But first, let's talk about what's happening out in the tropics. And so far, things have been fairly quiet for the first week of the 2024 Atlantic Basin hurricane season. Let's check out what's going on across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. You'll notice with our satellite that we do have some flare-ups of moisture, some showers, a few thunderstorms near some of the Caribbean islands and also down towards Central America. But at this point, it's not anything that we are concerned will turn into an area of low pressure that could turn into AKA a tropical depression, tropical storm, or possibly even a hurricane. So it looks like we're still going to have to wait a little bit longer before we have a higher chance of that happening. Futurecast showing that we've got a decent amount of moisture in parts of the Caribbean over into portions of Central America, and we'll likely have fairly unsettled weather in this region. But at this point, everything is fairly disorganized. There's not anything that's concerning that would turn into a tropical cyclone, at least for the next couple of days. So this is Futurecast taking us through Monday afternoon, and we are not really seeing any big flare up of any tropical development for the Atlantic, for the Caribbean, or for the Gulf. Of course, as we get later on into the season, even later on this month, few models are hinting that we could possibly have a slightly better chance for some development. But at this point, National Hurricane Center not really giving us any shot for any tropical cyclone formation over the next 7 days. So this is the way we like it, folks. It is calm, it is quiet. Yes, there's some moisture over parts of the Caribbean, parts of Central America, but it is not expected to cause any tropical troubles, at least not yet. But of course, we know it is a very long season, and we're still concerned about what's going to happen the rest of this hurricane season in the Atlantic. Why are we concerned? Well, both of our major forecasts that we look at from Colorado State University and from NOAA, both indicating above normal season ahead, with 17 to 25 named storms from the 2024 NOAA forecast, 8 to 13 of those becoming hurricanes and 4 to 7 of those becoming major hurricanes for Colorado State University. Of course, their forecast came out a little bit earlier this year, or a little earlier than NOAA's, but it's the same story. They don't give a range, but they just came out with specific numbers. They're expecting 23 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. That is well above the norm of 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. That average that we take over several years indicates what we would expect for a typical year. So this year expected to be anything but typical, anything but average, and there's a shot we could actually go through all of the names on this list. We could actually have more storms than the names that we have on this list. So of course there's a secondary list for that, but first we got to get through the first one, and we're hoping we don't have to go through a ton of these names. But when we start to see that tropical cyclone formation across the Atlantic Basin, that first name on the list will be Alberto that we'll use, and then we'll go to Beryl, Chris, Debbie, Ernesto, and then Francine, Gordon, all the way down to William. So it's a very long season. Fortunately, we're starting things off on the quiet side. Typically, June and July are fairly quiet historically, but of course you really start to see that activity ramp up as we go through August, especially mid to late August. September, usually the worst month of them all for that hurricane activity. A lot of systems historically can form and pop up in September. October still usually fairly busy, and then we kind of start to see a downward trend as we get towards late October, and November usually more on the quiet side as we get closer to wrapping up the hurricane season, of course, which ends on November 30th. So here's the good news. Things are quiet now, but we've got 2 main factors in play this season. We've got super warm water temperatures, unusually warm water temperatures in the Atlantic Basin, and we are switching from a climate pattern of El Nino to the La Nina phase as we go through hurricane season. So that will mean a higher shot for these tropical systems. So we'll be watching it closely. Make sure you're prepared. Of course, you can get everything you need to know on how to keep your family prepared by checking out all of our preparedness guides, our videos, our helpful hints on our smart TV app, Fox Local.